Picture the frozen earth of Bastogne in December 1944, where American soldiers huddled in foxholes as German artillery screamed overhead. These men weren't trained survivalists with bug-out bags and strategic food reserves. They were ordinary citizens thrust into extraordinary circumstances, yet their survival rates under conditions that would break most modern preppers reveal a profound truth about the nature of human resilience. The question isn't whether World War II soldiers were better survivors, but rather what made their approach to survival fundamentally different from the individualistic preparedness we see today. In those moments when supply lines collapsed and the world became a hellscape of mud, blood, and metal, soldiers discovered that survival wasn't about stockpiling or planning. It was about adaptation within a framework of collective discipline that modern preparedness culture has largely forgotten. When we romanticize the self-reliant prepper with their carefully curated supplies and isolated bunker, we miss what truly kept soldiers alive in history's most brutal conflict. World War II soldiers survived through something far more powerful than individual preparedness. They operated within an intricate military machine designed specifically for keeping men functional under impossible conditions. Every soldier was a single cell in an organism that provided structure when chaos reigned. The military's hierarchical system meant that even when a soldier's personal supplies ran out, there was a chain of logistics working to resupply him, medics trained to keep him breathing, and commanders responsible for his strategic placement. This wasn't survival by personal choice or careful prepping. This was survival through institutional support, where the individual's needs were subsumed into the collective mission. A soldier in the Pacific Theater might face starvation rations and tropical diseases, but behind him stood a supply chain stretching across oceans, field hospitals that could perform surgery in tents, and a command structure that could evacuate the wounded. Modern preppers, no matter how well stocked their shelters, cannot replicate this level of organized external support. The myth of the lone survivor permeates modern preparedness culture, but World War II soldiers knew a different truth. You survived together, or you died alone. In the frozen forests of the Ardennes or the sweltering jungles of Guadalcanal, survival meant trusting the man beside you with your life. Soldiers shared rations when supplies dwindled, rotated watch duties so everyone could sleep, and carried wounded comrades when retreat became necessary. This wasn't optional camaraderie. It was tactical necessity enforced by military discipline. When a unit received its daily rations, distribution followed strict protocols ensuring everyone received their share, however meager. The military's pragmatic rationing system, though harsh, prevented the hoarding mentality that undermines group cohesion. Modern preppers, preparing for scenarios where social order collapses, often focus on protecting their resources from others, rather than building networks of mutual survival. The soldier's experience teaches us that in true crisis, the fortress mentality fails where community resilience succeeds. The threats that shaped World War II soldiers were immediate, violent, and unambiguous. Enemy fire didn't care about your preparations. Artillery shells made no distinction between the well-supplied and the desperate. Soldiers adapted to threats that arrived with the shriek of incoming mortars and the crack of sniper rifles. They learned to sleep through bombardments, to recognize the sound of friendly versus enemy aircraft, and to keep moving when their bodies screamed for rest. These were reflexive adaptations to present danger, honed through repetition and necessity. Modern preppers, conversely, prepare for threats that remain theoretical until they materialize: economic collapse, natural disasters, societal breakdown, pandemics. The psychological weight differs dramatically. A soldier knew his enemy and could see the battlefield. A prepper imagines scenarios that may never arrive, preparing for spectral threats in a complex, interconnected world where the nature of collapse itself remains uncertain. The soldier's survival was reactive, the prepper's is anticipatory, and this fundamental difference shapes every aspect of their approach. Perhaps the most crucial distinction lies in the societies these survivors inhabited. World War II soldiers came from a world already organized for collective action, where rationing, conscription, and industrial mobilization had unified civilian and military life. Modern preppers exist in a vastly more complex, interdependent system where genuine self-sufficiency remains largely illusionary. Our electrical grids, water systems, food supply chains, and medical infrastructure form an intricate web that cannot be replicated in a rural bunker. Soldiers could rely on military infrastructure even when civilian systems failed. Modern preppers must somehow prepare for the potential failure of systems they cannot fully escape or replicate. The soldier's challenge was surviving within a temporarily disrupted but fundamentally organized system. The prepper's challenge is preparing for the potential collapse of organization itself. What WWII soldiers teach us isn't that we should abandon preparedness, but that we must understand its limits and, reframe our approach. Their survival emerged not from superior individual readiness, but from discipline, community, and institutional support under the most extreme conditions imaginable. Modern preparedness culture would benefit from embracing this harder truth. Survival has always been a collective endeavor, and the strongest preparation invests not just in supplies, but in relationships, skills, and community networks that can endure when systems fail. The soldier's legacy isn't one of rugged individualism, but of adaptation, mutual dependence, and the resilience that emerges when ordinary people face extraordinary circumstances together. If this exploration of survival through history's lens resonates with you, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles. Share this video with fellow history enthusiasts, survivalists, and anyone who understands that the greatest lessons in preparedness come not from imagining the future, but from understanding the past. The foxholes of yesterday hold wisdom for the uncertainties of tomorrow.